Portions of TV23's internet provided by SWKO Wireless Internet. Covering the High Plains with news, weather, and information. From TV23 Studios in Sublette, this is High Plains Today.
Hi, everybody. You know what? It is Thursday, May 18th, 2017. Welcome to High Plains Today here on TV 23. On today's show, I'm going to be joined by Greg Standard. He is the director of Seward County Emergency Management. And with all the storms and every severe weather coming up, you know what? We're going to talk about preparedness and all that kind of stuff. In the meantime, let's look at happenings. Well, the Kansas Department of Transportation will be paving the US 54 crossover connecting the existing US 54 lanes with newly constructed westbound lanes in Seward County today, weather permitting. Now, US 54 will be reduced to one lane guided by a pilot car during working hours with an approximate delay of 15 minutes. Again, weather permitting, the project should be completed in one day. That means the existing US 54 lanes will be reopened tomorrow. And also, KDOT, they're going to begin highway resurfacing of US 54 beginning at the Plains East city limits and continuing east to the Meade city limits. Now, resurfacing is scheduled to begin on Monday. US 54 will be reduced to, guess what, one lane, guided by a pilot car during working hours with an approximate delay of, you guessed it, 15 minutes during the project. Now, the project is expected to be completed by late July, weather permitting. Ed O'Malley's town hall meeting in Garden City, which had been scheduled for 5 p.m. Tuesday, was postponed due to severe weather here in southwest Kansas. O'Malley, president and CEO of the Kansas Leadership Center, is considering a run for governor. He plans to return to Finney County at a later date to meet with local residents. Now, this is the second time his town hall has had to be postponed because of weather. The town hall originally was scheduled for May 1st, but it had to be postponed because of the snowstorm that hit southwest Kansas. Ellsworth County farmer Josh Swati, he revealed plans Tuesday to seek the Democratic nomination for Kansas governor in a political contest viewed by the former state legislator as a referendum on leadership of Republican Governor Sam Brownback. Swati made the announcement from an Ellsworth co-op elevator dock in the tiny central Kansas town of Black Wolf. He acknowledged a wave of victories in 2016 by centrist candidates for the Kansas legislature and vowed to dedicate himself to creation of a long-term transportation program demonstrating respect for state employees and resolving damage to public education and other core functions by years of deficit-riddled budgets. Good luck. And Kansas gas prices at some stations jumped up 10 cents a gallon this week, despite the state average being $2.15 a gallon. The increase in price at the pump is due to a rise in oil prices on Monday, triggered by Saudi Arabia and non-OPEC member Russia, both supporting the oil production slowdown for another 9 months, the end of March 2018. According to GasBuddy.com, the cheapest gas in Kansas is a Sunshine station in Coffeyville, where a gallon of regular unleaded is $1.79 a gallon. 24/7 Travel Store in Salina is at $1.92 a gallon, and a variety of stations in Coffeyville, Pratt, and Salina at $1.95. A Cenex station in Deerfield is the state's highest priced gasoline. It's at $2.44 a gallon. All right, we do have some severe weather that's going to be in the area, especially if you're around Dodge City. You need to be paying attention today. Be back with the weather right after this.
You're watching High Plains Today on TV23 with host Chris Jewell. TV23's internet service and 4G live streaming provided by United Wireless. Coverage you deserve. Service you expect. United Wireless.
Remember when you found that thing you thought you'd never see again?
Honey!
All right!
The Kansas State Treasurer's Office doesn't have your old baseball glove,
There you are.
but they do have over $300 million in unclaimed cash.
Yes.
And some of it could be yours. For information about how you can find your unclaimed cash, find us on Facebook or go to kansascash.com.
Hi, Chris Jewell, host of High Plains Today, a 30-minute news and information program that airs weekdays at noon right here on TV 23. We talk about news, we talk about sports, we talk about weather, we're even going to talk entertainment. We'll have live guests right here on set with me. So, every day at noon, tune in, High Plains Today. We'll see you then.
Weekdays here on TV 23.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you are really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Now, the local weather forecast for the High Plains.
Looking off to the west on the TV 23 tower cam, you can see we got a lot of stratus clouds out there. No precipitation in those yet, but we're going to be talking about that coming up here in a minute. Right now, temperature at the station, 62 degrees. Relative humidity, kind of high, 72%. Winds are out of the northeast at 20. Barometric pressure holding steady. Now, looking at the current temps around the area, everybody in the 60s, 70s. Look, Perryton up to 83 already. A nice cool 50, though, in Lamar. They're getting snow in Denver, by the way, in case you were wondering. Anyway, looking at current dew points around, everybody's going to be pretty high humidity-wise today. And there's a lot of moist air down in East Texas that's coming up. That's what's going to kick off all these severe storms later on today. Now, looking at the winds, the dry line is going to be, it's kind of goofy shaped as it comes through here, but everybody on the easterly side of the dry line, the winds are going to be out of the southeast or east, northeast. Then as the dry line moves further east, winds are going to switch around to the southwest. So that'll be a pretty good indicator of where we're at when things fire up today. All right, the highs and lows is recorded at Garden City Regional Airport. We got 79 yesterday, 100 back in 1996. The overnight low, 48, 36 back in 1995. No new precipitation in the bucket. Here's what we're looking for today. Now, in most of southwest Kansas, going to be 77 today. Winds are going to be out of the southeast at 17. Here you go. This is, an enhanced chance of precipitation, severe weather you can see in the yellow. But you get into this purple, that is severe. That's the high risk area. So you look down here towards Meade, Mineola, into Clark County, up through Dodge City and east. That's where all that moist air that's going to come up out of eastern Texas is going to run into this low pressure that's coming towards the southeast, and that's when stuff is going to start firing off. So you have any plans, you need to be making sure you're staying aware. We're going to talk to Greg more about that coming up, but you need to be make sure you're aware, and especially if you're traveling east. So tonight, 20% chance of precipitation, overnight low of 48. Winds are going to be switching around to the northwest, and then tomorrow, there still is a chance of some, 30% chance. I don't think any of this is going to be severe tomorrow. 70 for the high. Winds are still going to be out of the northwest at about 9 miles an hour, so that's not bad. Then into the evening hours, 20% chance, overnight low of 42. Winds are going to pick up, though, out of the northwest, could be gusting up into the mid-20s. Looking at the weekend, we're going to cool down on Saturday, but there's a lot of sunshine. I think we have a pretty good chance, though, on Sunday and Monday. There's another storm system brewing out there that's going to be sliding this way. That is a look at the weather. We'll be back with the markets and Greg after this.
Take your happy place with you everywhere you go. With TiVo from Pioneer Communications, you can take your favorite DVR recordings with you anywhere you want, and you don't need an internet connection to watch on the go. It's out-of-this-world TV entertainment, and it's only at Pioneer Communications. Your community connected.
Just think, what if we didn't have local TV and radio? Where would I go for local sports, local politics, a mayor, city council, stuff that affects me every day? How about health? Who's covering things that endanger my family? I need to know now, as it happens, from sources I trust, people in my community. No agenda, no bias like you find on cable and social media. Just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local station. Text TV to 52886 today.
A boy born in Joplin, Missouri was fascinated by anything with wheels and a motor. The odds of him going on to fascinate millions with his talent? 1 in 260,000. The odds of this born racer having 157 career top 10 finishes in NASCAR? 1 in 125 billion. The odds of him winning both the Daytona 500 and the Brickyard 400 in the same year? 1 in 195 million. The odds of a child being diagnosed with autism? 1 in 88. I'm NASCAR driver Jamie McMurray, and my niece has autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
Something I feel when I'm right here. Something that tells me that I'm This is the place. Everybody here knows it. This is the place. Oh, it's home to me and you. Yeah, this is the place.
Clean kitchen surfaces, utensils, and hands with soapy water. 1 in 6 Americans will get sick from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
And welcome back. I'm joined in studio by Greg Standard. He is the director of the Seward County Emergency Management. And we're going to talk severe weather because we've had some. We could have some more. It's coming. Hopefully for Seward County, it's going to be that way.
That's correct. We expect it to all be east of us, Clark County, up towards Dodge City, and then
Clark
to the
County,
east.
Ford County, Kiowa. They're looking at some nasty stuff today, aren't they?
They certainly are. Probably several significant long-track tornadoes. Those are predicted at this time, and large hail. It's going to be a tough day in that part of Kansas.
Yeah, and it's what I always look at it when they start forecasting this stuff and they put out the maps, and when there's purple on them, purple, it's kind of a royal regal color, but when it's on the weather map, it's not good.
It's not good at all.
That's not a good thing. Purple is not a good thing on those days. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what people can do to be prepared on these severe weather, these high-risk days, because in Southwest, South Central Kansas, this is a high-risk day.
Absolutely. And, the very first thing is you need to set up your plans of what you're going to do when severe weather does affect you. So you need to take time before the storm to figure out where will you go for shelter. You need to be ready to take care of yourself for 2 to 3 days if we lose power and it takes an extended period of time to get that power back. Things that you need that are critical to you. If there is no power, you may have a lot of difficulty having prescriptions refilled, obtaining cash at the bank or an ATM. There's a lot of everyday things we take for granted that become extremely difficult when we don't have electricity.
Well, and one thing I was thinking too is, make sure you carry your ID with you because, heaven forbid, if your home or whatever is hit, you may need to prove who you are to be able to get back into that area, right?
That's absolutely correct.
Yeah,
yes.
I never thought of that one. I thought,
In Greensburg, they experienced that when that town was shut off to outside people.
Yeah.
For concerns of folks who might have ill will going into town.
Looters, let's just call it what it is, looters.
And at any rate, the local folks, many of them, had difficulty obtaining their ID easily due to the storm. So, yeah, absolutely. If you have it on your person, you'll have it when you need it.
So the things that you want to do, especially, in this part of the world, if you don't have a basement or a storm shelter, or you live in a mobile home, you need to be thinking about if severe weather, if there is a tornado warning, if one is cited, you need to know ahead of time, where am I going? What am I going to do, right?
Absolutely. Family members who may have a sturdy home, a basement, a storm shelter, any of those options, those are great places to go. Neighbors that have a basement, oftentimes neighbors open up their house during extremely bad weather and let other folks come in. Those are all options that are out there. I personally, I really think people need to consider having their own storm shelter. We live in a part of the world where it happens often enough that we should have one.
They don't call it Tornado Alley for nothing, do they?
They do not.
Okay.
It's busy.
And if you do have a storm shelter, if you're lucky enough to have your own storm shelter or a basement or whatever, you want to gather up things like water supply and a weather radio so that you battery operated so you know what's going on, and flashlights and those types of things too, right?
Certainly, and spare batteries for all of the above.
Ooh, yeah.
Cots, sleeping bags, blankets. Fairly often after extremely severe weather, it may be 90, 100 degrees, the storm comes through. Behind the storm, very often we drop 40, 50 degrees. So, it may be summertime, but yet the next day it could be a high in the low 50s. So you may want to be able to have some items to keep yourself warm and comfortable out there as well.
Okay, so, and another thing, storm shelter wise, there's a lot of communities, if you don't have a neighbor or whatever, there's a lot of communities that open up buildings as well. Churches, schools, those types of things that can be used as storm shelters as a community-wide deal, right?
That's absolutely
So you want to
true.
check on those.
Yes, check in your neighborhood. I'll stress that. In your neighborhood, ask your neighbors, ask at your church. There's almost certainly some place that opens up when we have severe weather. We don't advertise those because we don't want people to leave their home, get in their car during severe weather, and drive 2 miles to get to a shelter. They're probably at far greater risk while they're traveling than they would have been had they stayed in their home.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier because you want to, now if you do get caught having to stay at your home, you don't have a shelter, a basement, or you're in a mobile home, I mean, what are some of the best places? I mean, what should somebody do if they're in their home? I mean, I know they always say move to an inner room away from windows, small inner room.
No windows. The smaller the size of the room, the stronger that particular part of the house is because walls are close together. Lowest floor that's of the structure and away from windows. Windows are going to fail fairly early, and flying glass is a
That's not
huge,
good.
it's a
Flying
huge issue.
glass is not good.
Yeah. Almost, well, that's what injures people is flying debris. So we want to be with something around us that'll protect us from that. Many people over the years have utilized bathrooms. Bathrooms oftentimes do have a window, but it's typically small. And the bathtub is fairly often the very last thing that leaves in a structure that's hit by a tornado. So,
especially if it's an old cast iron one or whatever.
Absolutely.
It's like a giant boat anchor. Tornado gets there, he goes, oh, I can't lift that.
Yeah. Numerous people have survived in a bathtub in their bathroom when the house was completely destroyed. So that's probably one of the better places in most homes.
Well, and we talk about, and you brought up Greensburg. I mean, that was an EF5. That was a biggie. That's sustained winds, well over 200 miles an hour?
Absolutely.
And, and they were talking about the one earlier this week that went through Barton County, hit Pawnee Rock, but it was only an EF3, but it was only an EF3. But it still has winds sustained at 165 miles an hour.
That's correct.
That's still going to do some damage. So it doesn't matter the size of the tornado, or the severe weather. I mean, straight line winds can do the same type of thing?
Easily over 100 miles an hour. I know there's been several instances in the 115 mile, 120 mile an hour range in western Kansas in the last 10 years.
I mean, not every tornado is going to be an EF5 like that hit Greensburg. I mean, that was a biggie, and it was very wide and went very long ways.
Absolutely. However, if an EF1 hits your house, it's still a big problem.
Well, yeah.
So
yeah,
we typically see EF5 tornadoes that are going to affect a larger number of people. But even a small tornado, if it hits your home, that's a big deal.
Well, yeah, and just in southwest Kansas, south central Kansas, you're looking at today, I mean, this severe weather could affect 1 million people.
I think
it has the potential.
Yeah, I think I've seen numbers like that today.
Yeah. So the things you need to remember is be prepared to move to safety ahead of time because you don't want to be out driving around during it. And people, there's way more, there's too many people out driving around looking at these things anymore with cell phones and video cameras and everything else. Stay out of the way so if there is something, emergency crews can get through, right?
Certainly. And I'd strongly advise anyone who wants to go out and look to attend the spotter training classes that we have, severe weather awareness training.
So you know what you're doing.
Become knowledgeable about what you're doing when you go out there, so that you can protect yourself while you're out there. If you want to pull over and watch, don't pull over on the highway. Pull over on a side road. There's a way to do it if you want to do it that doesn't create issues for other people.
Okay.
And ultimately, if the storm changes direction, speeds up, any of those things occur, and you wind up in extremely heavy rain, you're putting your own life at risk if you're parked on a highway.
Yeah. Greg, thanks for coming by. All right, everybody out there, be safe today. It is a high alert day. I'll be back with more right after.
Something I feel when I'm right
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
I used to think news is news. It's all the same. But it's not. There's a big difference between local broadcast news and cable news. See, local stations are part of my community, connecting me to local news, weather, and sports on every device. It makes sense. Get the news from the people I trust who actually live here. No agenda, no bias like on cable shout shows or social media, just facts. For news I can trust, I stay local. Support your local stations. Text TV to 52886 today.
Hey, you know what? Lady Buffs made quick work of both Wichita East and Hutchinson in the Class 6A state softball tournament regional yesterday. Both games ended early with the Buffs rolling to consecutive 15-0 wins over the Blue Aces and the Salt Hawks. And you know what? The Holcomb High School boys baseball team, they made it to the state tournament. It's the first time in school history. Let's take a last look at our weather before we get out of here. 63 degrees, relative humidity 72%, winds are out of the northeast at 20, barometric pressure holding steady. Now, there's a chance of some precipitation to the east of here today, and 20%, also a 30% chance hanging around tomorrow. Be vigilant out there today, people. Go out and have a good day. We'll see you back here next time.
Keep up to date with the latest information from TV23 on our Facebook page, KDGL TV.
Horse Thief the Festival, June 9th and 10th.
Come for the food.
Come for the fun.
Come for the music. Mike Ryan, Matt Kimbrough, Flatland Cavalry, Terabella, and Buckner Creek.
Horse Thief the Festival, as much fun as the law will allow.
Tickets on sale now at horsethiefthefestival.com.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free tips to help you save, go to